Hello and welcome to the 100 Indie Artists Project. This is a music project designed for and by independent artists to help you firstly get to know some of the incredible musicians in your community, as well as get to know some insights and some tools that you can take on board with your own musical marketing journey. Tell us about who you are as an artist and your background.
Hi, I'm Lucia. I'm a singer-songwriter from the north of Germany. I've pretty much been making music, I think, for my whole life. I started out by writing amazing songs about potatoes when I was a child, and then I played in a few bands when I was in school, and then I stopped making music for a while because I was very busy with school and also studying, and then at some point during the pandemic I felt so stuck that I kind of reached out to a producer from Iceland and produced some songs together, and I started releasing music. And yeah, ever since then I've been doing some really cool online collaborations, started releasing my music and started playing live again, which was so much fun last year. And yeah, I write music about my daily life crises, about my lovely dog, and just, yeah, when I have very strong emotions, it's always very nice to write music because it's very healing and it's always helped me a lot. And yeah.
What musical projects are you working on right now?
So it's always quite tough because I feel like I'm always working on 500 projects at the same time, and then I finish one if I'm lucky. But so as I said, I've collaborated with some really cool producers from America, from Denmark, from Iceland, and I haven't released music in almost 2 years, and I'd like to start releasing music again, but I figured out that the way I was releasing music was just not very smart. So right now I'm trying to figure out a way to release music again, but in a better way. And I'm also learning to produce myself, which is so much fun. I don't know, I don't actually think I'll ever get to the point where I can mix and master and stuff like that, but it's just so much fun to be able to do a little pre-production and just be able to give my music the vibe that I'm aiming for myself. I'm also moving to Scotland in August, and I'd really like to find people to make music with there and maybe play some little gigs there as well. Yeah.
Where do you feel that you're at in your musical journey right now, and where would you like to get to?
Also quite the difficult question, because it's so difficult because I don't know where I'm going to be ending up, but I believe it's the beginning. It's but for me, sorry, sometimes it's difficult to find words for what you're trying to say. But for me, a really difficult step was daring to get things out there and kind of having the courage to share my music with people, because as I think every songwriter would agree with, you share so much intimate stuff that is going on inside your head, and you make yourself very vulnerable. You show so many of your weaknesses, and it's really scary, and that was really hard for me. Also, daring to play live in the city I live in, for example, was also quite challenging. So I started out by playing further away from where I live, but yeah, now I'm used to playing where I live, and it's okay. I live with it now. I accept that people who I don't know in my city know what my weaknesses are. Yeah, that was a big step for me. So I think from now on it can only get easier, and maybe it's not the complete beginning now.
What do you love most about being an independent artist?
Well, I love that I get to connect to so many people from all sorts of countries, and it's just quite the cool feeling to know that there's someone in I don't know, Canada or somewhere listening to my music. And yeah, really cool. And also, well, I also got to work with really great people, and it's a lot of fun, and you make a lot of new friends. And yeah, I also love playing live. I didn't think that I would enjoy it, but it's it's great. I really like it. And in terms of like independent artist, it's really cool that you're very flexible with what you're doing and when you're doing it. So I'm also at university. I also study psychology, and I also work at the university. And it's quite nice that I can schedule everything myself. And when I have my horrible exam phase, then I don't have time to make a lot of music. And when I have my semester break, I don't know if that's the right word, but when I have it, I have so much free time, and then I get to create so many demos and prepare for live gigs, and it's so nice that I can schedule it all myself. I also hope that I'll be done with university at some point and just have my degree and then focus more on making music. Yeah, and yeah, it's so cool that you're not tied to so many restrictions, and can also say like, okay, today I want to make a song that sounds like heavy metal. Well, I never have so far, but at some point it would be possible, and that's really cool.
What do you find the most challenging about being an independent artist?
So there are several things that I think are really challenging. So first of all, the financial side is very challenging. I'm still at university. I also study, and music is not my full-time career right now. I also work at the university. But yeah, the financial side, because music can be such an expensive thing, especially if you want to record it or do it professionally or in a somewhat professional sounding way, and you don't know how to play every single instrument, and you don't know how to mix and master, and you would like to have a video, and you would like to have a nice graphic design, and you have the choice whether, like, you have to choose between doing everything yourself, and just, yeah, it takes forever and it doesn't really, sometimes it doesn't end up that good, and hiring someone, which is quite expensive, or at least it can be quite expensive. So that's a big struggle, honestly. Like, you have to do so many things yourself that people learn a lot about when they do it properly. And honestly, sometimes I'm really jealous of people who have a label behind them, because they just have a lot of support from from people who have learned a lot about what they're doing. And I know there are many ways to do things in a cheaper way, but yeah, the financial side is a bit difficult sometimes, and having to do so many things. But yeah, that's what I've already said. And another thing that I do struggle with is social media, because I don't enjoy social media that much. I often feel very not really embarrassed, but I don't like having to put myself out there so much. I don't feel like I want to be an influencer, but it seems like you really have to be on social media quite a lot. And I know it's not that it doesn't have to be bad, but I feel like it's not very good for my mental health, and yeah, I don't like it. I also don't really like promoting my music. Sometimes I feel a bit embarrassed about it. Sometimes it feels like you're wearing your plastic crown and feel like, my music is so great, go listen to it. And it's just nothing I feel comfortable doing. But you kind of have to. You also have to tell people that you're making music, so just to get anywhere. And yeah.
What has been your experience in marketing and promoting your music?
That's a really challenging thing for me. So I have only promoted one song so far. I've released 3 songs, and I've tried to promote one of them. So I'm probably not the best example, but yeah, I did my best. I used pages like Muso Soup and Submit Hub, and I found out that it was, first of all, not free, which I hadn't expected. I thought it would be free. And second, very time consuming and involved a lot of social media. Nothing I really enjoyed. As I said before, I think social media is not really my best friend. And yeah, it was so time consuming. It also took so much of my initial enthusiasm for releasing music, because I was a bit naive at first. I thought, okay, you have this cool song, you paid a lot for the production, you worked with such an amazing producer, and it sounds really good, and it's just gonna work out. And yeah, I don't know what I thought, but I thought it would be easier. So right now, my plan is, before I release anything again, and I have so many songs finished that I could release by now, but I want to have some sort of structure behind it. I want to have a system, and I'm building a system right now. I'm having my Excel file sort of thing where I'm listing everything that might work, and I'm also applying for, well, yeah, anyway, sorry. This is getting out of hand, but I just want to say it's very time consuming, takes a lot of energy, and I have such a huge respect for people who do it all by themselves, and I think it's amazing that you still have fun at making music if you're spending so much time promoting your music. But honestly, I've spoken to a girl who loves it, so I guess it's different for everyone, and I don't want to be so negative about it. I think I'm not the best example to...
What has been one thing you've learnt along the way that has been the biggest game changer for you in music marketing?
So, first of all, not to compare myself, really trying to focus on what I'm doing and not focusing on what, well, not what other people are doing, but not comparing myself to that. Also, one thing that I'm doing right now is just listing, making an Excel, as I said before. I'm making a page where I list everything that might work, so once I get to release something again, I don't have to do the whole research again. I just have my file with everything listed on it. Also, I think if you have the financial background, or if you have the opportunity to get help from people who know what they're doing, you don't have to do everything yourself. It's just, if it's not your thing, if you don't enjoy it, do things that you do enjoy and get help from someone else with the marketing. And then again, also don't focus on the numbers. It's really not worth it. I think it's easy, but it's just strange, because you see a certain number and then you think, oh, I wanted to hit that number. But then again, there's real people behind that number who are really listening to your music, and it doesn't really matter if it's 10 or 10,000 or a million. It's just real, you know? It sounds a bit strange, but when you imagine a real person sitting behind that number and listening to your song, it's a bit different than just seeing that number.
What has been your experience with building a fan base, and what have you learnt along the way?
I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that every single person who every single person who supports you is just such a gem. Is that the right word? Yeah, right. It makes sense, right? It's such a treasure to have someone who supports you and who likes your music, and so important to be thankful and to appreciate every single person that likes what you're doing. And yeah. And also, the word fan sounds kind of strange to me, because I've also never called myself a fan of someone or someone. I feel like those are just people who enjoy listening to my music and maybe feel a little connection to what I'm saying and can relate to what I'm saying, or it evokes some sort of feeling. And yeah, the word fan just doesn't really sound right to me. Maybe that's just some strange thing in my head.
Earning an income within music can be very challenging and often requires a diverse source of income streams. What are some of the streams of income you have relating to your music?
So, as I said, I'm not at that one lucky state where I can only live from music. I'm also studying and I'm also working, and the money that I earn from music, it's not enough to live from right now. I earn music from the venues I play at, so that sometimes pays really well. I earn money from the royalty collecting company in Germany called GEMA. I was also lucky to receive some funding last year, which was so cool. I could reduce some of my hours at work and just focus on songwriting, and that was really nice. So there's many opportunities in Germany where you can apply for funding. You probably have the same thing in every country. So if you do live in a city or in a country where you can apply for some sort of funding for musicians, really do try. It's so worth it, and it makes things a lot easier. In terms of streams, yes, I do get some money from streams, and I think I could afford oat milk, maybe 1 or 2 liters of oat milk with that. No, it's a bit more, but it's still a joke. Yeah. And as I said, I think music is such an expensive hobby that you really have to earn quite a lot of money to not be broke all the time. So do prepare to be a bit broke.
What advice would you give to an artist that's watching or listening to this who is beginning to embark on their own independent musical journey?
First, I think it's so cool and such a great thing that you want to do this, and dare to take the first step. Experiment, don't pay too much attention to what other people are doing. Try to improve yourself and not aim for what someone else is doing. Work with others. Really don't force yourself to do everything by yourself. Find people to collaborate with. Find people who encourage you and support you, and keep going. And yeah, do things that you don't feel super ready for and don't feel like super comfortable doing, because if you only do the things that you feel super comfortable doing, you will never expand your comfort zone, and you will never reach anything new, and you will never do anything new. Because I feel, well, for me at least, when I'm doing things for the first time, they're often a bit scary, and that's okay. It's okay to do some scary things. They're usually the good things. And yeah, it sounds like such a cliche, but if you never try, you've already lost or something. It is true. Yeah. So do things that you don't feel super ready for. Then again, also be nice to the people you meet on your way, and also be nice to yourself. Be so nice to yourself. Take care of yourself. And I think we all have that tendency to be so hard on ourselves sometimes, especially with music. Then we feel like it's not good enough and we're not good enough and we should just quit and study something again, or you know what I mean, right? Because with creativity, it's really easy to be very, very hard on yourself. Don't be meaner to yourself than you would be to a stranger. Be as nice to yourself as you would be to a stranger. Okay. Anyways, I'm really happy that I get to be a part of this podcast and of this project. Really, thank you so much for letting me be part of this. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to work on something together. I think it's always exciting to work with other people on musical projects. Yeah. Bye.